I am the spoiled son child and the run child. My biological mother used the sperm child bag that the boss discarded to get pregnant and gave birth to me alone. 3 years later, she ran to the boss's engagement ceremony with me and made me recognize him as my father, saying, "A child shouldn't be without a father." I knelt down in front of everyone, tears streaming down my face. "Please, someone kind, take me to the orphanage." Transferred into child for these 3 years, I haven't even had a full meal. The boss was furious and wanted to kick me and my biological mother out. His girlfriend, the white flower, picked me up from the ground and forced to adopt me. She carelessly said to my biological mother, "I like your daughter. She's mine from now on." Later, I was sitting comfortably on the boss's villa watching yellow sponges, when my biological mother suddenly appeared. "Mom is taking you away. You must be suffering here." I was completely bewildered, shouting at the top of my lungs, "Help! Someone is abducting children." Mom walked out of the kitchen with a knife. "Let's see who dares to take my daughter." Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Baby, when you see daddy later, you must be polite. Do you remember how mommy taught you? Biological mom Sharon looked at me with anticipation. Squatting down, I raised a big smile and said in a baby voice, "You have to call daddy. Say the baby misses daddy. The baby can't be without daddy. Daddy cannot marry a bad woman. We are a family of 3. Biological mom Sharon nodded in satisfaction, then picked me up and blended into the crowd. Looking at her delicately made-up profile, I suppressed my inner joy. Still a baby. After today, you will never see this baby again. Saying you love me. It's just using me as a tool to climb the boss's ladder. Always dreaming of saving the boss. Treating his fiancé as a dragon. Who does she think she is? And I'm already 3 years old. Not even giving me a name. Not putting me on the household register. Not even getting a full meal. Following this mother-in-law for much longer, I'll definitely be ruined. Sharon led me left and right, dodging through the crowd, breaking into the engagement ceremony. She suddenly cried out, "I oppose this." The warm and cozy atmosphere of the scene was instantly shattered. Calvin looked at her coldly, his eyes filled with disgust, and said without hesitation, "Security, take this person away." The security personnel nearby immediately stepped forward, and I tried to struggle out of Sharon's arms in the chaos. Sharon kept tightening her arm and shouted, "Calvin, you can't do this to me. The baby is your daughter. We are a family of 3. You can't marry this woman. The baby is too young to be without a father." As she finished speaking, the scene immediately became noisy, with people whispering and discussing, as if trying to assess the truth of her words. The woman in the center of the flower field finally moved. As the main character of today's engagement ceremony, she spoke up and stopped the security guards. "First, let go of this lady. I'm very interested in what she has to say. I want to hear what she has to say." Calvin immediately panicked, pulling his fiancée's Teresa hand and quickly explained, "Teresa, my heart belongs only to you. From heart to body, I belong to you alone. Do you not believe me?" At this moment, he completely lost his earlier cold and indifferent appearance, looking like a dog that had been caught in the rain and was afraid of being rejected by its owner. Mother Sharon felt jealousy in her eyes. She put me down and suppressed her resentment, saying, "Have you forgotten how your mother taught you? Drive away the bad woman, and we can be reunited with Dad's family. It's her who took your dad away from me." She pushed me forward a bit. My frail body wobbled a little. I staggered forward, making sure everyone's eyes were on me. I immediately knelt down in front of everyone, crying, "Please, someone kind, send me to the orphanage." I tugged at the sleeve of an elderly woman who looked very wealthy, not caring who she was, and cried uncontrollably. I carefully pulled up my sleeve in front of the elderly person. What caught my eye was not the plump lotus root segments, but the emaciated arms from hunger. The arms were bruised and swollen, clearly having suffered abuse. Tears in my eyes fell down one by one, forming a line. I have really had enough of this kind of life. For 3 years as a child, I couldn't even have a full meal. When I was 2 years old, I was so dizzy from hunger that I begged a mouthful of rice porridge from the neighbor, and my biological mother just threw it away. She said, "Baby, we have hands and feet. We must be self-reliant and cannot rely on the charity of others." But she did give me food. She started hitting me as soon as I was born, pricking me with a thin needle so that it wouldn't leave a mark. She was confused and overwhelmed, and whenever something went wrong or she was bullied outside, she vented all her frustrations on me, muttering, "If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have left my home and couldn't return to my family. It's all your fault. If you keep crying, I'll suffocate you." She certainly wouldn't suffocate me. I am her ladder to heaven. She would only remove the pillow when I'm about to suffocate. She keeps telling me about her meeting with the boss. The boss's ambiguous gaze and the expression that hesitates to speak all show his affection for her. But this affection had not yet fully blossomed, and the two of them had not yet broken through that barrier when the woman she called, "that damn woman," interfered. The boss was forced to let her resign, and she could see that he was reluctant. She decided to save him, to have a child for him, for the child who was born. She felt a mix of jealousy and hatred, because I have a blood relationship with the boss. This bond cannot be severed, and it is a connection she can't even obtain even if she wished for it. So she hurts me again and again. I am her pawn, and also her rival, the thorn in her side. She looked at me crying and wailing, her face showing a satisfied expression. "Remember, from now on, your dad only loves me." At 2 years old, I was in so much pain that my body twisted, yet I still obediently replied, "Mom, Dad is only yours." Only then did she happily stop. She thought the child was still small, that before the age of 3 there was no memory, so it didn't matter how much she hurt me, treating me like a dog to train. But I do have memories, although I don't know how I died in my past life. I don't want to be abused to death by her in this life. If I stay in her hands any longer, I will surely die young. Grandma, please, save me, adopt me, or put me in an orphanage. It's all the same to me. Good people get good rewards. Please save me. I'm grabbing at the straw of hope, desperately kneeling. This is my only chance. Calvin definitely sees me as a stain and hates me. He would rather I disappear. He will never help me. The elderly woman in front looks kind, and she is full of jewelry and sits in the front row. What she says must carry weight. I keep kneeling hard, afraid she won't help me. If I fall back Sharon's hands, I definitely won't survive. I have begged for help in the past 3 years, but no one takes a child's words seriously. Each time I asked for help, it only brought more violent storms, repeated abuse. I feel like I'm about to be swallowed by darkness. I even don't understand why the time travel god sent me here. I don't want to die. I want to live, as long as I'm alive. Even scavenging trash is fine. Suddenly, I was lifted into the air and fell into a warm and soft embrace. I looked back with tears in my eyes, surprised, at the person who had lifted me up. It was the fiancé of the boss, Teresa. Isn't she the person I hate the most in the world? I was a stain on her fiancé, and my own mother had ruined her engagement ceremony, trying to use me to interfere. Why did she pick me up? I was covered in dirt and tears, while she was wearing a white wedding dress, beautiful like an angel. Teresa wiped the tears from my face and softly comforted me. "Be good. Don't be afraid. I'm here. No one can hurt you." She hugged me tightly. I was stunned, holding her neck with my hand, not immediately realizing what was happening. It's different from what I imagined. Let go of the baby. This is my child. You bitch. You stole Calvin, and now you want to take my child. Sharon lunged forward with claws out. Teresa suddenly turned around, expressionless, and kicked Sharon away. I was shocked and speechless. Nice kick. I was kicked much worse than this, with a huge bruise that took a long time to fade. Sharon was immediately restrained by security. Calvin rushed to Teresa's front to protect her, and warned Sharon with words. "Have you gone crazy enough yet? You've never been normal, always thinking about strange things. And now you even dare to disrupt my engagement ceremony. Sharon looked at Calvin with deep affection, and softly said, Calvin, I'm here. Don't be afraid. I know you're forced. Calvin became even angrier upon hearing this. He tightened his lips, and the warmth in his eyes gradually faded. As if looking at a dead person, Teresa pushed Calvin aside and directly walked up to Sharon. She grabbed Sharon's chin, stared at her face twisted with anger, and said carelessly, I like your daughter. She will be mine from now on. Sharon was flustered and tried desperately to break free from the security guards. No way. My baby is mine. She only has me as her mother. You can forget about that, baby. Upon hearing Sharon's call, I immediately tucked my head into Teresa's arms. Such a cruel mother. Who would want her? I only have one life. Once it's gone, it's gone. Teresa saw my action, laughed, and her chest slightly trembled and rose. She hugged me tightly, even rubbed her cheek against mine. I will be good to you. She then got up and walked toward the center of the flower field. After a slight pause, she left a message. You're here, so you're a guest. Welcome to witness my engagement ceremony with Calvin. Sharon, a crashing roar came from behind. I quietly watched her face twist, her hair hanging over her cheeks in a grim manner. Teresa nodded. As the music played nearby, she walked to Calvin and hugged me with one arm, extending a hand to signal Calvin. Calvin held Teresa's hand and returned to the center of the flower sea. Applause erupted, and under the blessings of everyone, the two embraced. There was a version of me standing beside. I was taken back to the home of Teresa, Aunt, and Calvin. I curled up in her arms and cautiously asked, Aunt, will I never return to my mom's side again? Aunt Teresa touched my little head and said, How about living with Aunt from now on? Aunt will treat you especially well. After I received a positive answer, I nodded in agreement. After just a few hours together, I have already seen the interaction pattern in this new home. In this home, at the top of the pyramid is Aunt Teresa. Mr. Calvin is Aunt Teresa's loyal dog. Although Aunt Teresa has a delicate appearance, she looks like a little white flower swaying in the wind, and I can't help but feel pity for her. But she is far from being as fragile as she looks. She is a master of emotional stability. In the case of the engagement banquet, she handled everything decisively and smoothly without being affected, and successfully got engaged. Even after the engagement, she sent off the guests and quickly did a DNA test with me and Mr. Calvin. Before bed, I felt like a guest in someone else's home and wanted to be a good child, at least to say goodnight to Aunt Teresa. I walked with my short legs to find Aunt Teresa, wearing the new clothes that Aunt Teresa had just given me that evening. This is the first time I have worn such soft clothes. It's a pity the house is so big. I had only taken a few steps when I got lost. I politely tugged at the butler's sleeve. Hello. I would like to see Teresa, Auntie. Yes, miss. The butler picked me up and carried me to the study door in 3 strides. I politely thanked him and was about to knock on the door. The study door was not fully closed. There was a crack, and I could faintly hear an argument inside. They were talking about me. Calvin, what do you mean? You don't want to take care of this child anymore? Teresa Auntie's angry questioning voice came through the door crack into my ears. Calvin said as if trying to comfort her. Teresa, that's not what I meant. Look at her real mother Sharon. She actually stole a condom years ago and gave birth to her. Now she's come knocking, clearly with ulterior motives. That woman is a lunatic. Although the child is still young, placing her between us is like a ticking time bomb. As long as she is here, Sharon will have an excuse to insert herself into our lives. He looked at Teresa Auntie, his lips pressed tight, showing no sign of retreat. I will not allow our relationship to have any threats. I can send her away a bit further and arrange for someone to take care of her. If you really can't bear to part with her, we can listen to Darcy's opinion and send her to stay with her grandmother. Darcy was raised entirely by her grandmother and is doing well now. If you want to see her, we can go anytime, but you can never raise her yourself. I know you feel sorry for the child, but you also need to be rational. She has lived with her real mother for so long. It's inevitable that, before Calvin could finish his sentence, I heard a noise. Through the crack in the door, I saw Aunt Teresa pushing Calvin. Aunt Teresa had a slight tremor in her hands, and she lowered her head, making it hard to see her expression. At that moment, she seemed to have been greatly stimulated, reacting very strongly, completely unlike her calm demeanor during the day when faced with a mountain collapsing before her. Are you saying that if the biological parents are not good, the child will definitely not be good? She clenched her hands tightly, turning a shade of blue, her knuckles appearing somewhat pale. Her tone was low, revealing a hint of self-mockery. So you have always thought of me this way. All right, I will take her away. You don't have to acknowledge her. I will acknowledge her. She turned her head away, no longer looking directly at Calvin. Although she had her back to me, I could still feel her grief and despair. She seemed to be wrapped in a thick black fog, sinking deeper and deeper. Calvin reached out and hugged Aunt Teresa into his arms. The calm surface was instantly shattered, filled with regret. I'm sorry, Teresa. It's all my fault. It was my careless words. I never thought this way. In my eyes, you are my life. I won't mention it again. We will raise her and not send her away. Aunt Teresa choked up and said, she is so small, yet her body is covered in countless wounds. You know very well what I have been through, and what she has gone through. Aunt Teresa's tears fell, hitting the carpet. You say Darcy, but do you really understand? I looked down at the bare pajamas I was wearing, which were soft and comfortable, but not mine. I have a good memory, and I walked back to my room alone along the way I came from, rummaging through the laundry basket to find my own dirty clothes to put on. I once again took small steps back to the study door and knocked it open. Teresa, Auntie. Mr. Calvin, don't fight because of me. I smiled brightly. Just send me to the orphanage. I can take care of myself. It would be much better than being abused by my biological mother. Teresa Auntie suddenly froze, then rushed over to hug me. She held me tightly, her body trembling, but she forced her voice to stay steady. Calvin, I don't need you to take care of the child. I can take care of her by myself. Tears streamed down her face, soaking the carpet, but she tried to stay composed and couldn't control her tears. You know very well that when I see her, I think of myself. She's still so young. She doesn't understand anything. Do you want her to go through my past again? Her voice trembled, as if she recalled some dark experience. After a long time, she calmed down. Forget it. Let's leave it at that. Maybe I shouldn't have told you back then. You will never understand. It was my wishful thinking. She wiped the tears from her face, picked me up, and turned to leave. Calvin immediately panicked, not knowing what to say in a moment of urgency, and directly slid to his knees. Teresa, I'm sorry. All the mistakes are mine. If you want to raise them, go ahead. We can raise 10 of them. He was pulling Teresa Aunt's clothes pitifully. A child cannot be without a father. I was so scared that I was dumbfounded. I just wanted the two of them to reconcile. But how did it end up falling apart? Please don't break up because of me. I'm just a child. I can't bear such a heavy sin. They are beautiful and kind-hearted. Don't let me and my biological mother, these two monsters, ruin it. Teresa Aunt. Mr. Calvin knows he was wrong. I quietly pleaded for Calvin. Calvin said in a gentle tone, what do you mean by Mr. Calvin? It's too distant. Good child. Call me Dad. Quick. Comfort your aunt. Our family of 3 just reunited today. We can't let it fall apart. In Mr. Calvin's expectant gaze, I called out, Dad. Mr. Calvin immediately recognized me. Oh, what a good daughter. He then pointed to Teresa Aunt, signaling me. I gently kissed Teresa Aunt's cheek. Her cold expression was like spring water thawing, bringing everything back to life. Teresa Aunt, can we stay with Dad? Teresa Aunt did not respond, burying her head in my neck. After a long while, she softly said, okay, we will be together. The freshly baked dad took me from Teresa Aunt's arms. Teresa, I'll take her to bed first. The child is still young. She needs to rest early. I obediently said good night to Teresa Auntie. Auntie, good night. I waved my little hand. Teresa Auntie also smiled and said, good night. On the way, I hugged Dad's neck and whispered in his ear, Mr. Calvin, please take me to the orphanage. I mean it. Calvin immediately begged. Ancestor, I beg you not to mention this anymore. I just finished atoning for my sins, and you bring it up again. Are you trying to kill me? I looked at his exaggerated reaction and emphasized again, afraid he might think I wasn't sincere. I really don't mind. I don't want to ruin your relationship with Teresa Auntie. You are both very nice people. Although Calvin wants to send me away, it's also human nature. Who would like a child suddenly appearing at their engagement ceremony? He was also kind enough to say he would find someone to take care of me, and I was already very content. Teresa Auntie is also kind and warm, but I cannot squander her goodwill. Calvin suddenly softened, and casually said, you're still a 3-year-old child. Your biggest worries should be what cartoon to watch, what snacks to eat, and who your best friend is. Adult matters don't need you to think too much. Just obey and be good. He put me into the bed, and continued, from now on, I'll be your father. Teresa will be your mother. Do you remember? I nodded, hugging the teddy bear he gave me. He looked at his masterpiece with satisfaction. Good boy. Go to sleep early. I'm going to give you a name. Looking at the dim mushroom-shaped night light by the bed, I was so tired that I quickly fell into a deep sleep. No Sharon, no sharp needles, no beating, and no need to worry about being hungry. Such a life is really good. The next day, I hadn't even slept to the point where the sun was shining on my back when I was pulled out of the bed. Wendy, wake up. There's something important to do today. Dad patted my back, trying to make me stop being so dazed. Wendy, who is that? Dad saw that I was still asleep, so he pinched my cheek again. Wendy, why are you so sleepy? Like a pig. It seemed like it was calling me. I looked at the child with messy hair in the mirror and laughed. Hello. You now have a name. Your name is Wendy. I happily finished washing up and put on a new dress. In the 3rd year of being a child, I got a name, and I had a connection with this world. I kept repeating, the wildfires can't burn everything out. The spring breeze brings new life. Dad laughed and said, you know this too. Only then did I realize, how old was I when I died in my last life? Before I could sort through the memories in my head, I was taken to register my household. So fast. As for my biological mother, it is said she destroyed a lot of things and has to pay a huge sum of money. This is not important. I would rather she stay far away from me. I was happily hugged by Aunt Teresa. She seemed to think I was perfect in every way, even though I was skinny, with hardly any flesh on my cheeks, and I couldn't compare to the kids next door. But in Aunt Teresa's eyes, I was the cutest child in the world. She looked at me with loving eyes, hugging me, unable to kiss me enough. Our Wendy is truly a gift from heaven. How can she be so cute? Dad watched from the side with some jealousy, casually saying, Teresa, Darcy said that children her age should go to kindergarten. The one next door at Old House is quite good. That kindergarten Darcy is also involved, and after going there, she can also take care of Wendy. Aunt Teresa immediately put me down, and I stared blankly as she took the booklet from Dad's hands. Darcy is Dad's younger brother, and it is said that he was raised by great-grandma. At that time, it was also he who suggested putting me with great-grandma. But great-grandma seems to be getting old and in poor health, and now she is always accompanied and taken care of by him. I was captivated by his temperament when we first met. He looks gentle and warm, and when he smiles, it feels like a spring breeze brushing against my face. He handed me a wooden carving he made himself as a gift. Hello, Wendy. I am your uncle. While the adults were chatting, I pretended to be a 3 or 4-year-old playing with toys. But in reality, I was quietly eavesdropping. Darcy, this little uncle opened his mouth with a bombshell. Big brother, I am just like this child. A love child. I can empathize with her situation. His next sentence really hit me hard. You and Teresa are busy with work. And the child is still small. You don't have that much time and energy. So there will definitely be places that can't be taken care of on both sides. Why not leave Wendy with me and Grandma? And you can come to see the child on weekends. Teresa Auntie refused without a second thought. Uncle had no choice but to stop this topic and talk about great-grandma's health instead. At this moment, Teresa Auntie was listening. She thought I should be like other kids and carry my little backpack every day. The sun is shining. I carry my little backpack. When I was really sent to kindergarten with my little backpack, I was stunned. I hadn't enjoyed a few days of a happy childhood yet. Wendy Auntie will pick you up after school this afternoon. This is a phone watch. Call Auntie if you need anything. Okay. I opened my mouth wide, staring blankly at the Teresa Auntie who was about to cry. I reached out my little hand to touch her cheek and said, Teresa Auntie, you work well, and we will see each other in the afternoon. These past few days, Teresa Auntie has been circling around me, piling up all the good things in front of me, carefully asking if I like them. She seemed to be looking through me at another little girl. Her love for me came like a torrent, and I wanted to repay her in the best way, not to trap her. Besides, I'm not really a 3-year-old child. It's just kindergarten. So what if I go? I walked into kindergarten with a tragic expression while carrying my backpack. From behind came my dad's constant urging voice. Teresa, look. Our Wendy is so strong. We'll come to pick her up in the afternoon. And we still have a meeting with Manager Jack later. We should go. Just in one morning, I realized that I was thinking too simply. Kindergarten kids actually know what a bastard daughter is. I watched a few kids whispering to each other, and I just felt exhausted. I picked up a doll and walked past them, and they quickly moved aside, as if touching me would infect them with a deadly virus. I stood right next to them on purpose, and they screamed in fear. I coldly looked at them and said, immature. The boy who was leading them, Edwin, became energetic and wouldn't let go of me. Who do you think is immature? I sat on the ground and started playing with the doll, wiggling my butt and swaying my waist, not wanting to bother with these little kids. I'm much older than them. Do you want to isolate me? What kind of joke is this? Who wants to play with them? Crying and sniffling at the slightest thing, and needing the teacher to follow them to the bathroom. Shameless. Ignoring me on purpose, he deliberately walked in front of me, and the chubby little finger pointed at me. You are a love child. My mom said that your kind of person is the most disgusting. You are a mistress. It should be. It should be. Edwin scratched his head, but just couldn't express what came next. I kindly filled in for him. They should be dragged out and shot. They should be put in a pig cage. He laughed happily. Yes, that's it. I cleared my throat and decided to educate them. I am not a love child. I am a stolen child. Glancing at them with disdain, I snorted coldly and raised my chin. Truly ignorant. Talking to you is boring. A bunch of clueless little brats. I am clearly the essence of the discarded child of a domineering mother. Conceived alone from a fart bag. Stealing the essence from the fart bag. Secretly getting pregnant. Secretly giving birth. And secretly hiding the child. This is called being born in secret. Okay, I'm not some illegitimate child. I looked at the group of little brats in front of me. Their dazed expressions made me too lazy to say much. So I lifted my leg and walked to a quiet place, continuing to sit down. In the afternoon after school, I walked over with my little backpack, looking cute and obedient, to Aunt Teresa and took her hand. She asked me softly, Wendy, how was kindergarten today? Did you make any friends? Did any kids bully you? I answered one by one, blinking my eyes sincerely. It was great. I made a lot of new friends, and no one bullied me. I laughed carelessly. Just a little bit of childish bickering, not worth taking to heart. Besides kindergarten, happiness is everywhere in life. I like Teresa Auntie's warm scent the most. I often lie on her like a lunatic, taking a big breath, then exhaling long, resembling a fat cat that has had too much catnip. In my dreams Sharon, that hideous face, still appears, like a shadow following me. She is always suppressing me, bullying me. She said my birthday is her day of suffering, that I am not qualified to eat cake and celebrate my birthday, and that I should bow down and thank her for bringing me into this world. That day Teresa Auntie fell silent for a long time after learning that I had never even eaten a birthday cake. She specially ordered a super large cake for me, taller than I am. She made me make a wish and blow out the candles, dressing me up like a flower fairy. She invited my relatives and friends to celebrate with me, and I felt like a real princess in the center of the crowd. She kissed my cheek. Our Wendy will be happy every day, and never have any sorrow. I made a wish Teresa Aunt and Dad will always be happy, and I wish I could always be Teresa Aunt's child. She is confident, strong, and gentle, always shining brightly. Dad's eyes looked at Teresa Aunt the same way as mine, filled with deep love and admiration. So when I heard Teresa Aunt being insulted, I lost my temper. I even forgot that fighting at kindergarten would definitely get me in trouble, and I immediately attacked the big boy Edwin head-on. Normally, I don't care about these kids. They are just spoiled by their parents, which is why they speak so rudely. I'm not stupid. I can feel the glaring eyes around me, filled with intense malice and suspicion. When Teresa Aunt took me to a party, they whispered behind my back, making up stories in the dark corners. We are a family of 3, but to them, we are just pretending to be happy. Everything is just superficially peaceful. What the kindergarten children say is actually their parents' real thoughts. I still remember when my father took me to meet my great-grandmother. She sighed and said, "The child is innocent. I can still hold on for a few more years. You two are busy with work. Just leave the child with me. Eric can also help out." Uncle Eric stood by and smiled, giving a nod. I clutched Teresa Aunt's skirt, and in everyone's eyes, I was a troublemaker. So my great-grandmother wanted to take me in, to prevent me from being a burden between my father and Teresa Aunt. Teresa Aunt picked me up and proudly held me in front of my great-grandmother. "Grandma, hold. Wendy, look. She's now healthy and plump. Her belly is round. Isn't she completely different from the first time we met? Now, I have become a pure, solid little ball, round and chubby." Teresa Auntie patted my little crayon butt and said, "Wendy, show great-grandma the Tang poem you just learned." I raised my head and looked at the kind old lady in front of me. When I first met her and asked for help, I knew we were destined to meet. I obediently began to recite the poem, "Goose, goose, goose," with a curved neck singing to the sky. After finishing one poem, Dad picked me up from great-grandma's lap and said, "Don't crush your great-grandma." Great-grandma had a smile on her face, and her silver hair made her look even more loving. Until we left, great-grandma did not mention anything about raising me again. At that moment, I quietly sat in a corner playing with sand. Edwin came right up to me, his eyes filled with provocative malice. He was making silly faces and laughing. "Wendy, you're a bastard." I didn't take it to heart and continued to build my castle. I had heard that kind of talk so much that my ears were about to get calloused. He escalated his efforts, trying to make me cry. "Your parents don't want you anymore because they had younger siblings. You're just an illegitimate child." It was completely harmless, and since he didn't cry over having an illegitimate brother, why should I? He was furious and, seeing that I didn't react, directly kicked over my sandcastle and maliciously stepped on it a few times. I clapped my hands and got up, ready to find a quieter place to play. Teresa, big brute. Big fool. The big brute also raises little brutes. I stopped in my tracks, turned around, and coldly looked at the child in front of me who was making a face. He was only 4 or 5 years old. He saw my expression and laughed proudly, as if he had stepped on my sore spot, and continued to shout loudly, "Teresa, big brute. The big brute also raises little brutes." I suddenly lunged forward. He is a child, and so am I. I am even younger than him. Having lived again, why should I let him have his way? What's the point of holding back? He just deserves a beating. I picked up the sand beside me that he had stepped on and smeared it on his face. You fat bastard. Spewing nonsense. Your dad is keeping a mistress and doesn't want your mom. Your mom is just trash. Even throwing her into the incinerator would smell bad. I was riding on him, and he was like a turtle that couldn't turn over. Suddenly, I was lifted up and thrown aside. My palm scraped against the ground, drawing blood. Wendy, what are you doing? What did the teacher teach you? To bully other little kids. Looking at Teacher Wang's indignant expression, I didn't want to give her a single glance. She has had a problem with me for more than a day or two. I once heard her gossiping with other teachers behind my back. These rich people, their illegitimate daughters can even be sent here to study. That woman is really amazing. If it were me, I definitely couldn't stand it. At first, I tried to communicate with her, thinking she was a good teacher who would be fair. After all, my uncle said he would have someone take care of me. Teacher, Edwin bullied me. Can you do something about it? She watched the scene like a spectator and asked, how did he bully you? I repeated Edwin's words. She replied carelessly, that's not the truth. Kids should tell the truth. You're an illegitimate child. Your birth is wrong. How can you blame others for saying so? Her malice was obvious, even without trying to hide it. Someone next to her tried to say to her, you shouldn't go too far. Her father is Calvin. And what if old, he asks? She ignored them and continued to admire her newly done nails. What's there to be afraid of? Don't you know my brother is the principal? He gets along really well with old he. Even if she complains, who would believe her? Children at this age are the best at lying. I am educating her in advance for her family, helping her recognize her own identity. Children like this are fundamentally rotten. At this moment Edwin's face was covered in sand, mixed with mucus and tears, looking utterly miserable. Teacher Wang sternly scolded me for being biased. You stand here in punishment, and I want to ask your parents how they taught you. You don't even look like a girl at all. I smiled sweetly. That's perfect. I also want to tell my parents about your discrimination against me, always calling me a love child. Teacher Wang looked at me with anger, snatched my phone watch, and directly contacted my uncle. The voice was affected. The throat squeezed out a distance of 10,000 miles. I was taken into the office for punishment, and the abrasions on my hands sent waves of pain. After a while, there was a knock on the door. Sorry, teacher. I'm Wendy's mother. It's my fault. Don't be angry. I'll take her back and let her reflect on her behavior. It's Sharon. She came up to me, didn't ask anything, and directly apologized, pulling my arm to leave. Teacher Wang didn't even lift his eyes to look at her. Sharon, that woman who gave birth to Wendy, is it? I know. It's really a case of the upper beam not being straight, so the lower beam is crooked. Since you're her real mother, take her away then. I immediately realized something was wrong. It was supposed to be a call to Uncle Eric. But why is it Sharon here? I shouted loudly, struggling to get free from Sharon's grip. If you let her take me away, Teresa Auntie won't let you off. Teacher Wang frowned. What's wrong with letting your real mother take you away? I tried to keep struggling, but Sharon covered my mouth and dragged me out. I was only a few years old, so naturally I didn't have her strength. She dragged me to the corner and covered my mouth with a cloth, and I immediately lost my strength, collapsing weakly. I thought I had escaped her, but she was like a ghost, always able to infiltrate my life, as if she had some kind of cheat. I even suspected that an unnamed force was helping her achieve her goals. Otherwise, how could I explain how easily she broke through layers of security to crash the engagement scene? And now she had taken me down in the kindergarten. Mom is the person who loves you the most in the world. Mom won't hurt you. Everything is for your own good. Just sleep and you'll be fine. Clearly, she hurt me the most, but I had completely lost the ability to resist. My hands hanging down as she held me in her arms and walked outside. She had a clear path all the way, taking me away from the kindergarten. My vision gradually blurred. and I finally lost consciousness completely. When I woke up again, the small wounds on my palm had all been treated. Wendy, you're awake. Does your head still hurt? My eyelids felt heavy, and I struggled to open my eyes to look at my little uncle in front of me. My voice was a bit hoarse. Little uncle, what are you doing here? He was wearing a light-colored shirt, with a gentle smile on his face. I received a call from Teacher Wang to pick you up from kindergarten and found out you had been taken away. I held back my discomfort and tried to complain. It was Teacher Wang who Sharon took me away. I disagreed, but she ignored me. She is not a good teacher. My little uncle picked up a towel nearby and wiped the sweat off my face. It was little uncle's fault for asking her to take care of Wendy. Who knew she was a bad person, making Wendy suffer? Now the bad person has been driven away by little uncle, and when Wendy goes back to school, she won't see her again. I nodded. This matter couldn't be entirely blamed on little uncle. After all, one can't read another's heart. But I was still confused about Sharon. Her sudden appearance and disappearance were quite puzzling. So where did Sharon go? Uncle Eric said casually. She ran away as soon as she saw me, and said she was wrong. She won't appear in your life anymore. You can rest assured. I hadn't even had a chance to ask for some details when Uncle Eric suddenly made a pinky promise gesture, and said meaningfully, Wendy, let's keep today's matter as our little secret. Okay. Your father and his colleagues are very busy with work, and they are still on a business trip out of town now. Grandma is also not feeling well and has been hospitalized recently. If we tell them about this, they will surely get worried and angry, and maybe something will happen on the way back. You are already a little adult. Right. A little adult can make decisions on their own. He looked at me expectantly. I nodded along with his words. Yes. Wendy is already an adult. He was very satisfied with my performance and continued to say, I know. Wendy is a responsible child. She didn't tell the family about being bullied at kindergarten, and she was very strong. I think Wendy definitely doesn't want to trouble the family. Right. I continued to nod. He straightened his face, and his tone became serious. But Uncle also needs to criticize Wendy for fighting. It's not right. Adults don't like children who fight, and disobedient children will be disliked by adults, especially Wendy, who, like Uncle, is a love child, and is more likely to be disliked by others. So, let's treat today's incident as our little secret, and not tell anyone. Okay, Uncle will keep Wendy's secret. He coaxed me into agreeing with him. I showed a big smile on my face, covered my mouth with my hand, and pretended to be surprised. A little secret. Our secret with Uncle. We won't tell anyone. Uncle's smile deepened at this. Yes, it's Wendy and my secret, and no one knows. I cheered and eagerly made a pinky promise with him. After Uncle received my promise, he left the hospital room satisfied. The cleverness on my face immediately disappeared, and I muttered, what an idiot. He really thinks I'm a 3-year-old child. Not even bothering to come up with a decent excuse, directly resorting to intimidation and pretending to be understanding. I don't know what role he plays in all this or what he's scheming. At least he isn't as simple as he seems. He could very well be a wolf in sheep's clothing. When Dad and Aunt Teresa come back, I directly told them everything all at once. Aunt Teresa picked me up and gave me a kiss on the cheek. We Wendy are really smart. Last time Auntie and Wendy talked, Wendy remembered everything. Right. I proudly lifted my chin, my tail almost wagging up to the sky. I remembered everything. When something happens, you must tell your parents. Anything that can't be told to your parents is just deceiving children. They combined my words with the evidence they had gathered and had already understood everything. This time they were officially on a business trip, but in reality, they also handled some other matters, such as reinvestigating the incident of Sharon surviving back then. After listening to me, Dad fell into a state of anxiety alone. Sharon is like a switch that intensifies his emotions. He paced back and forth in the living room like a trapped beast, frantic and exasperated. I knew long ago that this woman was abnormal. daydreaming that I liked her, and I don't even know who she is. What did I do wrong to be entangled by her? She keeps saying that I had feelings for her back then, and that I couldn't bear to see her hurt even a little. Clearly, she deliberately fell into my arms, and I reflexively helped her a bit, then immediately pushed her away. I really should have let her fall hard, to knock out those thoughts in her head. After you lost the pen you gave me, I searched for it for a long time, even checked the surveillance, only to find out that she took it, calling it a token of love. What kind of token of love is stolen? After she was fired, she went to a hotel to apply for a job, saying she wanted to be closer to me, and even rummaged through the things I threw in the trash. Just thinking about that hotel makes me feel sick. No way. In the future, the household trash must be disposed of uniformly, even that I have to throw into the toilet myself. I couldn't help but feel pity. He is so miserable. In fact, there are many more things he doesn't know. For example, Sharon cut out his photo from the newspaper, enlarged it, and pasted it on every wall. On her bed, there is also a Calvin body pillow, and the cabinet is stuffed with his various personal belongings. Buttons, pens, tissues, hair, and even clothes, all stolen. She says goodnight to them every night. The towel stolen from the hotel is even a companion that helps her fall asleep. She fabricated a love story. She is the female lead. Her dad is the male lead. Teresa Ant is the vicious female antagonist. The deep affection she speaks of for the second male lead is for someone I have never seen in those 3 years, but who selflessly devoted himself to her like a shadow. She repeatedly recounts and beautifies the few encounters she had with her dad, examining every glance and every action as if through a telescope. In those 3 years, I have heard dozens of versions. Every version of Dad loves her deeply, but unfortunately because of Teresa and the 2 wicked female antagonists, Grandma and Auntie, she can't achieve a happy ending with Dad. But she is not afraid. She has a trump card, which is me. As long as I listen to her, align with her, and stir things up, she can drive Teresa Auntie away and rescue Dad from his suffering. I casually picked 2 or 3 things to mention, and Dad's expression completely darkened, as if he had swallowed a fly. His face was so dark it could drip ink. Fortunately, he still had some rationality left. Remembering this poor little person, me, he forced a smile on his face. This time it's Dad's fault, causing you to suffer in kindergarten. What kind of compensation do you want? I gestured for him to squat down, patted his shoulder hard, and sighed slightly. Dad, I don't need compensation. You are already miserable, inexplicably targeted by someone, plus having another child, and now discovering that your brother might be bad. It's already very distressing. Dad couldn't smile at all now. He lowered his eyes and finally couldn't help but whimper and cry, resting his head on Teresa Auntie's shoulder. It's all my fault for being devoted, wealthy, and handsome. Aunt Teresa patted his head lightly. I know you've been wronged. Upon hearing this, he cried even louder. I've never cried like this before. It's so embarrassing. Aunt Teresa seemed to be very affected by this, speaking gently and comforting him, making me want to cry as well. We can't act recklessly now, or we'll scare them off. Once we have all the evidence, I'll make it right for you. Okay. He hesitantly nodded, curling up in Aunt Teresa's arms, not wanting to look directly. Since I was bullied, I can now legitimately stay home and rest, not having to worry about anything, because my dad is already fighting in front of me. I was lounging in the villa with my feet up, watching the yellow sponge, and was laughing heartily at Squidward. He's really too stupid. Look at how angry Squidward has become. My mom suddenly appeared, wearing the clothes of the housekeeper, and grabbed my hand. Mom is taking you away. You must be suffering here. Look at how she has raised you. So thin. Looking at the flesh on my cheeks and my round belly, my biological mom Sharon swallowed the words that followed. I've been raised so well. It's 1,000 times better than being with her. Without saying a word, she grabbed me and wanted to leave. I was confused and shouted at the top of my lungs, Help! Someone is abducting a child. I had just started living a good life. And I even called Teresa Auntie Mom. How could I let her ruin it? She covered my mouth with one hand, and I struggled to pry it open, biting down hard. She cried out in pain and forcefully pushed me away, and I curled up and rolled onto the ground. Just at that moment, Teresa Mom came out of the kitchen with a knife, her face covered in white flour. I want to see who dares to take my daughter. I didn't care about hitting my head, and immediately ran towards Teresa Mom, peeing in fear. The whole person hid behind her and pointed Sharon and complained, "She wants to take me away." Mom looked at Sharon and sarcastically said, "You can even sneak in here. Did your devoted pursuer come to your aid again? You really are something. Pretending to be a cleaner to steal before, and now pretending to be an auntie." The housekeeper arrived immediately and said, "I'm sorry. It's my fault." Mom said casually, "Call the police. I let you go before because I wanted to use you as bait. But now you're of no use. So I'll just lock you up to keep things quiet." Sharon immediately became anxious. "Why me? I'm here to see my own daughter. Which law prohibits a mother from seeing her child? Baby is my child. You can't take her away from me. Also, no one is helping me. It's the heavens looking down on me, seeing your evil act of stealing someone else's child." Mom protected me behind her and,
"You are unreasonable. But I don't see it that way. You are just naive and jealous. Your misfortune has nothing to do with us. If you have grievances, go find your scumbag dad and your mistress mom to take revenge. Instead of picking on soft targets, Calvin and Grandma never owe you anything. People like you deserve to live a lifetime in darkness. You don't deserve kindness from others. So ruthless. Even a child can bear to act against." The corner of Uncle's mouth slightly lifted, his eyes filled with coldness. "Teresa, how good can you be? You, a little beggar who crawled up from the bottom, don't even know who your parents are. Yet you flaunt yourself here. If it weren't for Calvin this fool being blind and liking you, do you think you could have today?" Dad said solemnly, "You are wrong. Even if Teresa had not met me, she would still have her own world. The current situation is my fault. I brought her a lot of trouble, getting involved in this mess." Mom took Dad's hand and said softly, "Don't say that. Now I have you, Grandma, and our Wendy. I feel very happy." Mom seemed to think of something, holding my little hand and shaking it towards Uncle. "Darcy, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you for bringing me Wendy. I really like it." Uncle's facial expression began to twist, gritting his teeth. "Teresa, what are you pretending to be magnanimous? I don't believe any woman would not be jealous upon seeing her husband's illegitimate child. Stop pretending. I'm not Calvin, that love-struck fool. I won't fall for this," I shouted. "You can't say that about my mom. You're judging her with a villain's mindset. Mom is a true gentleman, and you are a true villain." Uncle snorted lightly and mocked. "You're just as stupid as your dad. You've been fooled by her. This woman is a femme fatale, devouring people without spitting out bones." I ignored his attempts to sow discord. All I know is that it was Mom who picked me up, fed me, gave me a name, and gave me a home. My mother is the best person in the world in my eyes. Some people say that gentlemen judge by actions, not by intentions. Even if my mother was the villain in the story, I would still be willing to give everything for her, even if it meant dying. My mother quickly covered my mouth and stopped me, saying, "A child shouldn't speak without thinking." Spitting. I pushed my mother's hand away. "Mom, don't take it to heart. I just want him to know that not everyone is like him. He doesn't have good parents, but I do." Thinking about the fact that I am still a product of his conspiracy, I couldn't help but make a noise and shook my head at him. He is truly making a mess of himself, bringing disgrace upon himself. He must be so envious he's about to go crazy. He didn't get anything, but I have everything. He wants me to replicate his life, using my existence to prove that Dad and Mom are also as despicable as him, that his experience is normal, and that everyone would treat an illegitimate child like that. Even if Dad and Mom didn't raise me, that would still be understandable. But they did raise me, and he was immediately greatly disturbed. After all, his real parents ran away together, leaving him, the product of their love, to the mistress. He was raised by his grandmother and longs for the same love and material benefits as I received from my father. How could that be? Did he get hit by a donkey's head? My grandfather's legacy would never go to him. He didn't dare to retaliate against the culprit, so he took it out on our whole family. I pointed at his head and looked at my dad with a tilted head. Dad, do you think he has something wrong with his head? How could he be so stupid? Unlike you at all. You're so tall, strong, handsome, and rich. Dad coughed lightly, adjusted his shirt collar, and showed a bit of pride. Do I really look that good in your eyes? I raised my thumb. Of course. You're Teresa Mom's selected model. He looked a bit embarrassed at Teresa Mom. That's true. Mom glared at him, and he immediately returned to his serious demeanor. Getting back to the main topic. Darcy, the matter between you and Sharon has been fully investigated by me and Teresa. This trap you've been setting up for years. You first drugged me, but instead, you pushed me and Teresa into a situation. You then settled for a second option, quickly bonding with Sharon, stealing that, making Sharon pregnant, and having a child. For these past few years, you've always been appearing by Sharon's side as a devoted pursuer. You arranged at the right moment Sharon appeared to disrupt the engagement ceremony, trying to distract our attention, covering up your collusion with other shareholders to take advantage of the situation and the fact that you drugged Grandma. But you have a flaw in your meticulous plan. You have Sharon clear the levels, allowing her to pass without obstacles, which raises more suspicion and makes one ponder how Sharon managed all this, and whether there is another hand behind her. In the end, you were desperate and let Sharon sneak into the kindergarten to knock out Wendy and take her away, resulting in bystanders calling the police thinking Sharon was a human trafficker. I don't even know what to say to you anymore. I can't be bothered to talk to you anymore. Go repent in jail by yourself. As for Grandma, I will tell her that you and your parents are the same, running away with someone and roaming the world. Darcy listened to Dad's analysis of the situation, remaining indifferent. Sharon led me through twists and turns, breaking through heavy encirclement and crashing into the engagement scene. Darcy lost control instantly after hearing my words, her eyes flashing with jealousy, picking up a shard of porcelain and charging at me. You little brat, shut up. Who would be jealous of you? Mom was quick-witted, turning with me to avoid, and then a sound of something breaking through the air. Darcy was kicked away. I let out a roar. TSK, TSK. Sighing. What a pity to be a thief. The matter has come to a complete end, and the truth that has been buried for years is now revealed to the world. Great-grandma is currently recovering in the hospital after discovering it in time. After hearing Darcy elope for love without leaving a message, she felt a bit heartbroken. To make great-grandma happy, I go to tell her stories every day. I didn't expect this to expose the fact that I know many words without systematic learning. Actually, during the Great Battle Darcy, I exposed myself that day, but there were too many things, and Dad couldn't pay attention to me for a moment. I didn't think of it myself either. At this moment, he seemed to have discovered a new continent, eager to pack me up and send me to school immediately. He gently pulled me and said, Wendy, do you want to study with the children, or should I hire a few teachers for you? He looked at me with hope, as if I would immediately leave the yellow sponge and start studying loudly at my desk. I cried out and ran to the study as fast as I could. Help! Mom! Wendy doesn't want to have classes. I'm only 4 years old. Who has a 4-year-old child going to classes? I'll never be curious about how old I was when I died in my previous life. I only know that my name is Wendy. In this world, I experienced a spring Teresa and was reborn. Now that I'm 4 years old, my biggest wish is to be with my parents forever, watching a few episodes of The Yellow Sponge every day. As for classes, that's something for when I'm 7. End of text.